Alright, so hello everyone and welcome back to GregTech New Horizons. In the last episode, we boosted our power production by investing into some MOX-fueled nuclear reactors, alongside investing in the extreme combustion engines. And as you can see in between the episodes, I added the other two quads that we were missing. So now power is not going to be a big deal for a little bit. Matter of fact, I want to show this here real quick. I'm going to just manually turn on everything, and we'll give these guys some time here to build up. In the meanwhile, I'm also going to mention that last time, of course, we got into the assembly line. We actually started using him for crafts and stuff. And of course, we also got the mega vacuum freezer, which of course finally fixed our freezing problems. It also uses a lot of power, but we have a lot of power now, because now that the engines are fully maxed out, you will see that we are producing a nice 1 million EU per tick, which is absolutely insane. Although of course this much power generation did come at the cost of two problems that I had to fix, which of course I did in between the episodes. First of all, let's do lubricant and creosote oil. So those weren't keeping up. We have a lot of engines going, because before we were distilling the creosote at a 2-to-1 ratio every 20 seconds, which is absolutely garbage. So now that tower doesn't exist anymore, and instead it has been replaced by, over here, this large brewery, which is still using up creosote, but it's actually mixing it with redstone for a 1-to-1 ratio, and it's only 6 seconds at ULV. But of course, after I set this up, the problem was moved on to creosote production. So to fix that, if you guys remember, we have these extra coke ovens here, which produces coal tar, but they also produce some sort of an extra fluid. At first, I was just making charcoal byproducts, because we didn't really care about the fluid output from this guy. We just wanted the charcoal, which is used here. But of course, in between the episodes, I switched that out to the circuit number that makes creosote, and now we've got plenty of production. Now, as for the other bottleneck, I think it's in one of these chemical reactors making an anti-knock agent. Yeah, it's this one right here. It just wasn't keeping up, and that is because of our lack of butene. We just don't produce enough of this from the naphtha. So to fix this problem, instead of butene plus ethanol reaction, or well, I shouldn't say instead, we are still keeping this producer. It's just that I added an extra production on top of that, which is over here. I added this recipe over here, which is distilling this reaction mixture. And then this is just a chemical reaction between butane and methanol. Methanol we have plenty of, and butane is actually different than butene. Butane is just a byproduct that we've had for a while. And another cool part is that after you distill it, you actually get some of your methanol and butane back. So yeah, this was definitely worth setting up. All right, next up, fluid extractor batching. So that's exactly what it sounds like. I just wanted to multiply these patterns out in the fluid extractor. The problem is that if I were to do that, I would have to add a storage tank for each thing, which is just way too many fluid tanks. So instead, what I did is I crafted myself up these 4K multi-fluid cells, and these are on a subnet that is set to extract only. Because remember, all of my like chemical reactors and pretty much anything that produces a fluid around the base is constantly outputting some sort of fluid. You can see that most of the hatches are backed up with something. So I couldn't actually add these to the mainnet. Otherwise, just like what happened over here at the ABS, one of these fluid cells, yeah, it's full of just random garbage, which is not great. I did set this thing to a lower priority so that it actually extracts for, or no, I didn't. Okay, but now it's at a lower priority, so that should empty out eventually, but you know. So the reason for this IO port is quite simple, actually. If I were to try and request a fluid without it, then the ME system is never going to recognize the craft as finished, because, you know, it's expecting the fluid to go back to the mainnet, but the output hash that we have is connected to the subnet. So yeah, this is just sending any fluid that it can back to the mainnet. As you can see, it's connected to the green cable, and then it's sending it back to the drive to act as a storage. And also, this repeater here is very important, because the pulse that is made by this timer is too short for the translocators here to actually extract all 4 cells. So yeah, this guy is slightly extending the signal. And there is that. Next up, we have sprinkles. Okay, so I was doing a little bit of testing here with these sprinklers from open blocks. You just feed them water with like a conduit or something, and they speed up the growth. And as you can see, it's actually quite fast, and it's way more TPS friendly than the time wood clocks. So I think I'm going to switch those out for the sugarcane farm. I'm pretty sure the reason these take up so much TPS is because it forces the crops to tick much more, instead of the sprinklers, which fully grow the crop in 1 tick. So yeah, the clocks are making it tick a billion times. This guy is just growing it in 1 tick, which, as you can imagine, it's just much better for the TPS. So yeah, in between the clips, I'll definitely switch them out. And then before I get into the pickaxe, I'm going to show you the circuit doubling. I just added another IV circuit assembler, nothing special, while also using these ME dual interface P2P tunnels. It splits the patterns between both of them, which is great. Now for the pickaxe, as you probably noticed, I made myself another tinker pickaxe, even though I already have the Vajra. And literally the only reason I did this is because I think the Vajra looks ugly. I don't like the texture. The old texture is just much better. Although I do understand why they had to change it, but I don't know, I just don't like the pitchfork look. It's not great. So yeah, I switched to the pickaxe. This one looks much more aesthetically pleasing to me. And it's still quite fast because of 2 things that I invested into. First of all, the pick head material is actually this new alloy, MRCE M200. The other tool parts don't really matter. It's thaumium and Damascus steel. But yeah, if you look at the stats of this material, it's 153,000 durability. And plus the Damascus steel, it's actually 700,000. And then for the mining speed, it's an absolutely insane 150. Combined with the 9 levels of haste that I added, it's at 222. So yeah, it's definitely fast. Now, as for this MRCE, it's a lot more convoluted than it seems. I was debating doing it on camera, but yeah, so this is a combination of lithium chloride, cerium, and M200, the regular version, which we already made this. We made it for the precise assembler. For the molten lithium chloride, this is lithium chloride ingots, which comes from the dust, which comes from chemical bathing hydrochloric acid and lepidolite. So I just did a bunch of that. As for the cerium part of this, it's actually kind of weird. I think this is something that we're going to get access to in the Monazite line. But for now, I just made a manual batch of this. It's like a little, just a mini chain of things that you have to do. I don't even know where the first step of this is. But yeah, the gist of it is I have this cerium-rich mixture. But yeah, you just process this down a little bit, and then you combine this in the EBF with the stuff that I previously mentioned. It also has to be a ZPM EBF, by the way, which yeah, I managed to do it right over here. It's very temporary, as you can see. But yeah, we got the double LUV hatches on that. Speaking of which, actually, hold on. I also upgraded the battery so we can handle 64 amps of LUV. Yeah, there's the dynamo hatch right there. It's the exact same as the energy hatch, except you use the spring of the superconductor instead of the wire. So yeah, very cool. Now we can power a lot of LUV machines if we ever need to. Oh yeah, and before I forget, I also made these van braces of steady progression. It's just an infusion craft here, and it just simply removes the debuff of mining whenever you're like flying or something. So actually, it's funny. If I don't wear it, I think the pickaxe is too slow. Yeah, it's too slow to insta-mine this basalt. Somehow, even with the 222 mining speed. Anyway, so now let's get into the subject of today's episode, which of course, as the title probably says, we're going to be doing the Monazite line. But before that, I do have a couple of other side quests that I want to get into. And also, even though it says I have the circuit assembly line here, we're not going to be doing this today. I think we're going to leave that until next time, maybe. But yeah, so let's focus on these two, the LUV Prospector and new ae2 buses. We'll start off with the new ae2 buses because I'm very excited to check these out. If I look in the quest book, now that we are in the LUV age, we have these two unlocked. First is the advanced stocking input bus, and this is the recipe for that. I'm pretty sure the only thing we can do is the input bus at LUV because, you know, needs an LUV assembler, but we do have that now. I did make sure to swap up the energy hatch in between the episodes. This is a 4 amp LUV one. So yeah, I think we can just encode this. And matter of fact, let's use PBI for the bus. And then the ME version I already have encoded. So let's see here. I want like 10 of these to get started. Ooh, nice. We can do it. And while that crafts, let's go to the other thing, which is the cribs or the crafting input bus. So it's actually quite expensive. ME controller, pattern capacity cards, and a 4096K component. Wait, can we do that yet? I don't know. We'll see. Hold on. We'll check that out in a minute. But what this does is it combines the interface and the input bus, and it lets you autocraft with it. And it also has 36 slots without costing any extra power. Unlike the pattern capacity cards, the power cost on these is actually exponential, the more of them you have. But thankfully with these, we won't really have to worry about them. The only caveat to this is that it doesn't support patterns with fluids. I think we'll still be able to use it for like the fluid extractor, because this is an item in, fluid out. But I think for things that need fluids in their inputs, it doesn't work, which is probably fine. Maybe for like the cutting factory, we're already supplying the lubricant automatically. The mixer here, I can replace these ones, which don't use fluids ever, but the circuit numbers that do will have to stay like that. We can also do extruders because it actually also has a slot for that. And of course, wire mill, bending machine, lathe, yeah, we can do for all that stuff. Compressor as well. So yeah, this is going to save so many channels, so much power. And also it's Gregified ME. Who doesn't like that? Also, I just remember, I don't think I have the data for the, yeah, I don't have the data for these guys. Looks like I just have to scan a stocking input bus. And I believe, yeah, for the crib, I already have the scan for that. So also for these guys, let me request like, I want to say 16 of them. And okay, so we can totally get everything else. We're just missing that 4000K component, which I'm hoping isn't going to be too expensive. So, oh, it's LUV circuit assembler. Item processor tier 4. This one, LUV assembler is fine. Engraved quantum chip is just yellow garnet. I should have a bunch of that. Yeah, I have a couple exquisites. Oh, but man, that's an LUV circuit assembler craft. I don't know if I want to do that right now. Oh, it also needs, okay, so it's not going to happen. Wetware life support. Yeah, that's just not going to happen. The wetware stuff is like all the way in the UV chapter, I think. So that's not going to happen anytime soon. Although, oh, but you know what? I guess we can just craft it, right? It's going to be expensive. It's going to be a stack of these 1024Ks, but at least these ones can be done in our current circuit assembler. And I mean, it's not like I have any other choice really. Yeah, I guess we'll just craft it like that. It's going to be a lot of circuits, man. Those are definitely going to take a while. But yeah, I guess let's, okay. My bad. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, of course, I'm also going to be missing the processor itself, but this is easy enough compared to the other stuff. Yeah, it's just Emerald chipset. That's fine. Plus the quantum chip, which I mentioned. Wait a minute. LUV laser engraver. Oh no. I also have to upgrade the forming press to IV. But I mean, that's going to be easy enough, right? It's just a laser engraver. I think I need to upgrade the laser source hatch. Although then again, in the tooltip, it says the max tier is LUV. So maybe I don't? I'm going to try that out. Let me double the IV hatches. And okay, maybe that is running LUV now. Here's a, give me an engraved quantum chip. Okay, right. Yeah, no, that that makes sense. I forgot that I definitely need a diode when doing this sort of thing. But yeah, thankfully, yes, we can do the engraved quantum chip. And also, let's just upgrade this guy real quick here. I'm also missing this energy chip, but that's easy enough. Also, this is a perfect time to display my I/O port setup here with the fluid extractor. Let me turn you on. And in a moment here. Yep, there you go. Anyways, okay, now can we make a bunch of these? Oh my goodness, 300,000 bytes? It's 1,700 quantum processors. What? Just for 16 of these? That's insane. You know, I was hoping I'd be able to just craft a bunch of these, but I don't think so. You know what? This is something that I'm just going to keep off camera. Every now and then, whenever I have the time, I'll craft a couple and replace some of them in the machines. Because yeah, I'm not about to AFK for all these circuits right now. So for now, I'm going to count that as complete. We're going to ignore the cribs for a little bit. Anyways, for now, we can move on to the other thing, which is the LUV prospector. And that's actually a quest right here in the LUV chapter. Although it is, of course, locked behind the emitter and sensor quest, which I think we can craft those. Yeah, we can do the emitter, but now the sensor also can be done. Good. In the meanwhile, though, we still have the decision to make of choosing what material we're going to go for. Just like any other prospector, this does matter. And I have 3 materials picked out already. 2 of them are going to need a little bit of work, but they have a lot of durability. And the last one we can do right now, but it doesn't have as much durability, although it has a larger range of scanning. But I mean, I don't know. I think I'd rather it last a while because it's just like scanning 2 extra chunks. Yeah, I think I've convinced myself. I'm not going to go with the HSSS. So now we're stuck between either draconium or elementium. The problem with draconium is if we want to smelt that into ingots, it needs the next tier of coils, and I'm not sure if we can get those right now because it's a lot of Naquata. I mean, do I have enough Naquata to upgrade all the blast furnaces? Okay, definitely not. Yeah, it's just the nugget ratio is horrendous. So I think we're gonna have to go with elementium, even though it's gonna be a lot more convoluted because, you know, this is an elven trade, so we'll have to get into a little bit more Britannia. The gateway core here is not that bad, I think. Like, we've already seen all this stuff before. The problem comes in the Terra steel because, of course, that's gonna need the agglomeration plate, and well, this is the recipe for that. Yep, it's definitely not great. We have automatic rune crafting, so that shouldn't really be too big of a deal. It's just encoding all of these runes that's going to take a minute. All right, well then, I'm going to keep encoding this stuff. It's not letting me though. What? Okay, that's a little bit weird, but I guess in that case, I'm just going to manually make the pattern. Anyways, I guess I'll see you guys back in a moment once I'm done. Okay, so I just got done with encoding all the runes, and I'm in the middle of crafting each one up right now, at least once, you know, for the quest completions and stuff. But I just realized I got so distracted by the prospector that I actually forgot to talk about the advanced docking bus. So, as the name suggests, these are pretty much almost like the regular stocking buses. The added functionality of this guy, though, is this thing right here. The automatic item pulling from ME. What it does is it pulls every single item, whether it's filtered or not. Anything that it can find in the ME system will get pulled into whatever machine it's connected to. And that is especially useful for 2 cases. First of all, the ore processing. I can get rid of these compressed chest buffers and instead replace it with like some sort of a subnet with much more storage capacity. And then, of course, the stocking bus will just pull everything. It'll be way faster than these PVC pipes. It'll be more TPS friendly, and it's going to be great. So yeah, I'm going to be replacing those in a moment after I'm done with the elementium stuff. But the second place where this is useful is actually the blast furnaces. I can replace these item P2Ps with the stocking buses, which actually fixes one of the biggest problems I have with this setup, and that is the fact that these P2Ps actually don't round robin. It's to the point where sometimes the inputs from one recipe will be split into 2 things. For example, the gallium arsenide crystals. Sometimes I'll find gallium in here and arsenic in the other bus. With these though, I can directly connect like this yellow subnet to this thing, and then I'll have like an ME chest as a buffer, and it's going to be great because instead of the buses being the internal buffer, the ME chest is, so it's going to always be split between both of those things. I think there's also a couple other config changes I can make, although I'm not sure what these do really. The slot refresh time, okay, that makes sense. If there's more than 16 items in your ME system, it's going to keep cycling between like a different batch of 16 every, I guess, 5 seconds here. But yeah, right now we don't need to pay too much attention to that stuff. We'll get more in depth with that in a little bit. Anyways, back to crafting runes. Alright, it has been done. I made one of every single rune, and we just got the LUV parts as well. There's iridium plates and samarium batteries. Oh yeah, the battery I think we got from a quest, yeah. So we don't even need to craft it. Not that it would be expensive or anything. We've got plenty of samarium and I can make a ton more. But, you know, it's nice. We don't have to craft it ourselves. But yeah, in between the cuts, I got myself this velocity potency lens. And I also crafted a second runic altar, because we do need this in the recipe. And speaking of which, can we do this now? Ooh, we totally can. Nice. Oh, and it already sent out all the ingredients. Of course, I don't have enough pedestals for this craft, so I just put the recipe in the ender chest. In total, I'm gonna need 21 pedestals. I already have 12. This is 7 here. So I just need to craft 2 more of these. That's fine. Okay, actually, it looks like I did miscount. I need 24 pedestals, not 23. Or 21. Now, I also remember I need the resource for this. And alright, cool. Now let's... Oh, wait. Make sure I have all the aspects. I think I do. Okay, yeah, I definitely do. So let's start the craft. Nice. And there we go. There you have it. Where to place this? I guess just like right here. Now we give this thing a little spark. Hopefully it can pull from all of those guys. And I don't think the recipe has been changed. Yeah, it's default recipe. Nice. And now with that, we can move to the Alheim. Awesome. So this is actually going to need a lot of Terra Steel. It's going to be 4 here and then another 4. That's 8 pieces. Well, actually, I should have enough mana for it. I also don't think we really need to automate this. All right, this should be the last Terra Steel. And now we turn all of these into plates. Okay, now let me craft the rest of this up. Shouldn't take me too long, hopefully. And yeah, once I'm ready, I'll bring you back, I guess. Alright, so welcome back. I recorded myself crafting all the components and stuff and doing all of the infusion craft. But for some reason, in the middle of it, OBS crashed. Well, it didn't really crash. It just wasn't letting me pause the recording or stop it or anything. And something weird happened with the recording. I don't know. All I know is that all that footage is lost now, so that kind of sucks. Anyways, I think this is a good location for the Elven portal. I mean, I wouldn't know where else to put it, really. And also, I think there is a multi-block that we can do. And we can even do it right now, actually. That looks very cool. But also, I don't feel like crafting all this garbage, so we're gonna settle with the regular one. It's not like we really need the upgrade anyway. Anyways, a couple more sparks, please. And there we go. These are filling up now. Not as much as I thought they would be, though. Maybe I need some dominant sparks in these. Yeah, all right, nice. All right, now can we open you? No, we cannot. What's up with that? Do the crystals have to be here, maybe? Okay, hold on. Lexicon Britannia time. What am I doing wrong? Wait, does it have to be like this? Oh, I have to move the mana things. I might just put them behind the wall, actually. Okay, cool. I hid the pools behind the portal, and I believe now this should work. Yeah, nice. So there is that. I think now all we need is some TPV gears. And also another benefit to this is the fact that we can take mana glass, which is EV tier, but if we throw it in there, it gives us Alph glass, which is IV tier. So this is much, much cheaper than the tungsten steel borosilicate thing. We should also be able to take it a step further for LUV, right? Oh, actually, no. I thought this Bifrost glass would be LUV, but I guess it's just another version of IV. Okay. Anyways, give me some TPV or Elementium. Thank you. We can then turn these into a couple of plates, then craft that into the drill tip. And once I add the Samarium battery, we can now make our prospector. So this thing is actually really cool because it's similar to the ones that you get in like Nomi Factory. It doesn't just reveal the ores in the minimap. It also has a GUI, which I'm kind of struggling to access. Oh, there we go. As I said, it's very similar to the ones that you get in the beginning of Nomi. And of course, as usual, the range is massive. It's great. And it looks like also we can shift right click to switch modes. Okay, so I can also scan for underground fluids. Nice. That is very cool. And I mean, yeah, there you go. This thing's going to make my life a whole lot easier when going to new planets and stuff, which is probably going to happen very soon here. We are almost at the part where we need to go to the tier 4 rocket, right? Matter of fact, we're pretty much almost there. I know that trinium is going to be a very important resource here, and that is only available after the tier 4. So yeah, maybe in like 2 or 3 episodes, we're going to have to get that. Anyways, before I close out the segment and take a break, I'm going to open the loot bags. I mean, I obviously have to. Although this time, let me enchant this guy maybe. It's going to cost a motor, which is unfortunate because samarium is garbage, but I'm going to say that it's still maybe worth it. So let's see here. Let's see what we get. Absolute garbage. Okay. Although, you know, I do have 47 IV bags here. I'm gonna open up a couple of them. We didn't get a single good thing. Okay. Well, that sucks. But anyways, I'm gonna go take a quick break right now. And in between the cuts, I'll implement the advanced docking buses here. And of course, add the EBFs as well. And then of course, once we come back, we're gonna deal with the Monazite line. Hopefully without getting sidetracked too much. Anyways, yeah. See you guys in just a moment. Alright, so welcome back. And as you just saw in this last clip, I finally went ahead and implemented a couple of the crafting input buses. I crafted about 20 of them, and I still have 8 left. And they took quite a while to craft up. I just AFK'd overnight, and well, I mean, yeah, these are great. I also overclocked a couple of these machines to IV as well. I just remembered these are still running at EV, which that's just way too slow at this point of the game. Oh yeah, also wait, I can replace the fluid extractor. Yeah, we can actually make this whole setup a little bit better. It should still work for crafting fluid stuff. Yeah, exactly. It did start the craft. Anyways, moving on from that. So, in between the cuts, I did what I said I was going to do as well. As you can see, we have a little subnet with some storage. The item P2P goes directly into an interface. And then we have the advanced docking buses here, which are pulling everything. Unfortunately, the miners just finished, so I can't really show you that working, but trust me, they work great and it's awesome and it's cool. But anyways, those buses aside, now is time for the real thing, which is what we're all here for, the Monazite line. And well, check this out. So look at that. I went ahead and planned out the entire line. Of course, just putting signs with their machine name and their outputs. And I tried my best to keep this line linear, but I don't think it's possible. The machines are really just all over the place, and I think this is as linear as I'm going to be able to get it. You'll see once we start placing down the machines, I'm going to be jumping all over the place. But anyways, as you can see also in preparation, I did set up the subnet with super chests for storage and a drive. Although I'm probably going to need more super chests than this. There's quite a number of outputs that this line produces. So yeah, we'll increase storage as needed. Anyways, yeah, I also went ahead and pre-crafted all the machines, and there's quite a nice variety of them this time around. It's not just a bunch of LCRs, even though there's quite a bit. It's mostly other stuff like mixers, chemical baths, thermal centrifuges, vacuum freezers, and a lot of sifters. This is 5 full multi-blocks. I also do have some of the ae2 components and stuff ready, and a bit of Steve Factory Manager. We're going to be using this for one of the automations we need to deal with. Anyways, with that, I think we just get started here. Although I guess first of all, I need to link the P2Ps together. Okay, cool, there's that. I will also mention this planning here. I did it entirely with the help of the flowchart by Cobra, which as always is in the gtnh Discord. Although it did say that it's for version 2.5 of gtnh, so I'm not sure if it's still 100% accurate. We are on 2.8 right now, but I guess if there's any difference, we'll deal with it. Anyways, let's get started here. So the first machine is going to be the digester here, which if you look in this barrel, we don't actually have that right here because I believe, yeah, it's in my backpack. I forgot to take it out. This machine is very simple. There's no unique mechanic with this. You just input the item and fluid and get your output. Although I will say this multi-block looks very cool. I definitely do like the shape of this. And you know what? I think you've seen me build all these multi-blocks plenty times enough. So actually, I want to try something new here. Let me, if I just line myself up like this. Okay, nice. That actually worked. It also looks like I miscounted how big this multi-block actually is. So I'm going to have to shift these guys a couple blocks back. But that is very easily doable. I also built it 1 block too high because I am smart. Well, you know what? I'm not fixing that. It's going to stay floating forever. Yep, that's just a thing. Anyways, so yeah, the IO for this guy should be quite simple because this guy's going to produce us muddy monazite rare earth solution. And it's also 20 seconds at EV. I think I'm going to overclock that actually, which actually is going to make it 4 times faster because thankfully this guy has perfect overclocks. But yeah, so we're going to need both nitric acid for this, which is actually used a lot throughout this line. So it could potentially turn into another ammonia situation. Although I have already overclocked the nitric acid producer to IV. We'll see. Anyways, we also need crushed monazite for this. And that's actually what the miners were getting us. I placed them down in Deimos while making sure that each of them are at least mining 2 veins of that monazite. And if we look at the terminal, ooh, nice. We're up to 126,000. That is going to be plenty. Or well, at least I hope, because the quest does say that you're going to need tons and tons of this. But yeah, I guess we'll just see what happens. Anyway, so let's turn this guy on now. All right, nice. We're getting our rare earth solution. And with the liquid output, we have to then dilute that in this new multi-block called the dissolution tank. And this multi-block does have a unique mechanic, which is the fact that these fluid inputs have to be at the same ratio listed in JEI. So if we look at our recipe here, we want to insert both the water and muddy monazite rare earth solution at a 10:1 ratio. Otherwise, the multi-block will just void. And obviously, we don't really want that to happen, do we? And now this is where Steve's Factory Manager comes in, because I did a little bit of testing. Oh my goodness, I built it 1 block up again. Okay, this guy's floating too then. As I was saying, I did a little bit of testing in creative and I came up with a program that will help us do this sort of thing. And the basic gist of it is that we want to turn on the dissolution tank via this machine controller cover only whenever we have enough of the fluids into the input hatch. And it also has to be in exact quantities. We don't want to go over the limit, even if it's by 1 millibucket. So I'm going to go ahead and connect up everything to the factory manager. We want a redstone emitter on the machine controller, and we want a receiver anywhere. This is going to be my manual override, just because we can, right? Yeah, technically we don't need this. So this is what our program is going to look like. We'll start off here by the trigger, which is just a 1-second timer. And this guy will go into the input of this condition. This is going to check both of our input hatches and see if they have, first of all, water in them. And the other thing, which I forget the name of. Yeah, the muddy whatever solution. Okay. And now we can right-click both of these and actually specify the amount. For water, that's going to be 90 buckets. And for the other guy, it's going to be 9 buckets. It's a 10:1 ratio. And then, of course, we want to make sure that it requires all of them. Now, if this condition is true, then we want this to go into an emitter and turn on our dissolution tank, of course. So we select the emitter, and then in the output, we want it to be 15. But if this condition is false, then we want that same emitter to output a redstone signal of 0. We have to have both of these emitters because this thing is a little bit weird in how it works. If you turn it on once with the program, it stays on forever. So you do have to tell it to turn off. It took me a while to figure that out on my own. Anyways, now we have a series of triggers into inputs into outputs. And it's very simple. We just take water from the dual interface, for example, on a 1-second interval again. Also for the triggers, they have to be redstone controlled. So on high signal. And then we do the same thing that we did for the condition. We select the input hatch, filter in the water, and then specify amount. Of course, being 90 buckets. And it does actually work that way. It will keep in stock exactly 90 buckets. It will never ever go above that. Although it can be less, but that shouldn't be a problem because again, the multi-block itself is redstone controlled based on the condition of both of these guys having enough liquid in them. Anyways, again, we input from our dual interface and output exactly 9 buckets of the muddy solution. All right, now hopefully if I request those things, and I'll make sure to request a lot of water just so that's a little bit faster than the monazite solution, which I'm realizing is going to have its own storage. But yeah, we should see in the input hatch here, maybe. Oh yeah, right. I need to flick the lever, but yeah, exactly. Look at that. It goes to 90 buckets and stays there. And if we look at the emitter, this is still turned off because we don't have the muddy solution, which I need to add into some sort of a 1K cell, I guess, or like a 4K. That's fine. We should see that show up in the interface here. Yes, nice. And there's 9 buckets here. This guy should have turned on. It absolutely did, but you know what I forgot maybe? Right, I need to filter in salt speeder into the storage bus here. Now this guy should start working soon. Oh, I need a programmed circuit. Didn't think about that. But yeah, nice. Look at that. Also, I'm going to switch that to circuit 9 because I just remembered this one gives us tiny piles of stuff, which is absolutely garbage. Anyways, now we can move on to processing the other stuff. We'll start with the items. There's the hafnia zirconia blend and thorianite. And those are just very simply electrolyzed and centrifuged respectively. So there's the first guy and then of course the second guy. You might have also noticed these are set up in very peculiar ways because we will be reusing these for a couple other recipes. I built the electrolyzer one block too high. Okay, everybody pretend you didn't see that because it didn't happen. Anyways, let's filter in the things that need to be filtered in. Also, I honestly could keep thorianite as it is because I'm pretty sure it's used in some other process. Okay, never mind. I guess I was wrong. You can make IV glass with it, but that's about it. Okay, I also need some intermediary storage for these things. But the monazite itself, I guess that can have a super chest. Never mind, it filled up with silicon dioxide. I'm literally voiding that, or so I thought. I guess I'll remove the output bus. I just genuinely don't need that. Anyways, there we go. This guy started up. It is quite a long recipe at EV. It's 30 seconds. So I do have this guy running at IV for that, but I think the electrolyzer is going to be fine. We do also get some oxygen from this. I guess I will keep it. We might as well, but I'll give it a void overflow card. Now, before moving on though, we still have to deal with the outputs of the centrifuge. The hafnia here, I think we can just store this. There is like a whole processing chain you can go down to get hafnium out of it, but I don't think this actually has a use. It's literally just here to be there. There's no reason for it to exist. Although the hafnia itself can be used to make hafnium carbide, and that's going to be useful way later on. So yeah, we're just going to store that for now. As for zirconia, this also has a processing chain we can go down, and I think we will be setting this up. It gives us zirconium, which is, well, it's somewhat useful. It's better than just storing the zirconia itself. Although it's really not interesting. It's just a couple chemical reactors, a blast furnace. It's literally the same thing as titanium processing, so we can go ahead and quickly set that up just like so. So now there's that done with. We are now getting zirconium ingots, which by the way, the vacuum freezer for that is right here. So with that, now we can move on to the next part of this, which is actually a sifter. That is going to be right here. This is going to be the first of many sifters we're going to build. And from this process, we get quite a number of dusts. I'm just going to store all of these and void excess in a 64K cell here. Should be plenty of storage for this stuff, except for the monazite sulfate. We're going to need that in the next step. So I'm going to filter that in the intermediary storage here. Also, red zircon here, I can filter into the electrolyzer, which will give me more zirconium. That's always nice. Although it's in dust form, not ingot, so I'm just gonna add that to the 64K cell. Anyways, now for the next couple of steps, it's just very linear. Just input a couple fluids and items and get a couple more fluids and items all the way down the chain. So we'll go ahead and quickly set those up like so. So let me quickly recap the new machines. I think it starts over here. No, it starts in this mixer. He's taking the monazite sulfate and mixing it with water, and then combining that output with ammonium nitrate, which is produced over here, just a combination of ammonia and nitric acid. Both of those guys produce acidic monazite powder, which we are then sifting all the way over here for monazite rare earth filtrate and thorium phosphate cake. This thorium here is blast furnaced over, I think here, yes. And then the output of that is then thermal centrifuged for some thorium and phosphate. Thorium we're storing, and then the phosphate we're electrolyzing for phosphorus, which of course we are just storing in a super chest. For the rare earth filtrate, this is chemical bathed in more ammonium nitrate, so over here. And then this output is sifted again in this multi-block to get us uranium filtrate and monazite rare earth hydroxide concentrate dust. Wow, that is a mouthful. And that's how far we are right now. And the only reason I didn't go further is because of the uranium filtrate. This is chemical bath again, so we're reusing the same multi-block. Except the problem is that this has to be done in hydrofluoric acid, and well, we don't actually have a passive production of fluorine, and we're also completely out of it right now. So, you know, that's a little bit of a problem, although I do have a solution actually, and it's gonna come in the form of this fluid drilling rig that I've had for quite some time. I pre-crafted this in between the episodes. I also need a dimensional transceiver for this guy, which we can totally craft, and of course I need to wait on the very slow soul binders. For whatever reason, this thing is super slow, even with the good capacitors. All right, there we go. I crafted up. Now, alongside the dimensional transceiver, I also want to try and craft ender tanks because we're going to be setting this guy up on a different planet, and I think I want to use the ender tank to move the fluids back. So, okay, let me encode everything that we're missing, and if we try requesting 2 ender tanks, we can absolutely do it. Nice. No more relying on the loot bags for this thing. Oh wait, I also need the research for this. Hold up. All right, now if I go craft this up, nice. We can totally afford it. Alright, here's the second one as well. Had to wait for the wand to recharge, but nice, there we go. I'm gonna go ahead and color these guys orange. Alright, and now to launch into space. And we'll make our way into Ross 128b. Oh, and right, we are gonna spawn in an ocean. God damn it. Anyways, now to start prospecting for fluids. And let's see here. Okay, we did not find what we wanted at all. Just some distilled water, natural gas, very heavy oil. All right, well then I'm gonna keep prospecting here for a little bit. I'll bring you back when I find what I need. Aha, there we go, we found it. So this right here is a lava fluid vein. Took me quite a while to search for it. I really thought they would be more common than this, but thankfully the new prospector scanner made this a whole lot easier. It scanned 9 veins at a time, which is great. But yeah, I actually found 3 of them. Although the first one was kind of terrible, the second one was alright, but the third one here is actually pretty good. So yeah, we'll go ahead and set up the fluid drill here. I'll have to mine to bedrock though, hold up. Alright, we can set up the transceiver here to give some hog to our combustion engine. And now I need to, yeah, I just need to place the ender tank. That should be good. Nice, 400 liters per tick. That's going to be way more than enough. Alright, make sure to chunk load the area. And we can go back home now. And a lot of you might still be wondering what the hell are we going to do with this lava? Because, well, as far as we can see, there's nothing in the JEI that shows you can transform lava into fluorine. But all will become very clear here soon enough. Let me just craft up a couple of machines here. I'm going to need like a mixer, macerator, centrifuge, an electrolyzer as well. So, yeah, I'm going to craft these up and then I'll bring you back. Alright, so, welcome back. And I did a couple things, as you can see. So, I built out all the machines here. I set up a little subnet for them. And this is going to be our fluorine production for a little bit. Or we might not even switch off of this, because I don't think there's any better alternatives. At least passively, of course. Anyways, so instead of telling you my plan, I'll just show you here. We're going to start off with this mixer, which is where our lava is going to be consumed. So, I have this going to super tank, and then the input hatches below it. And for this guy, we're going to request carbon and stone dust. Carbon, of course, we're getting from charcoal. And stone dust, I think we do have a passive production of that, technically, from this centrifuge doing all the quartz. Although I don't think it's going to be fast enough, so we'll probably have to add a macerator for this. But I guess we also do have a bunch from ore processing, so we'll see. If it runs out, we'll deal with it, of course. Anyways, let me go ahead and add a storage bus on the subnet. And I did hear the mixer working. Nice, look at that. So from this, we're getting molten black granite. And with that, we have to solidify this. So let me... Oh, I guess I already filtered it in. We're going to be solidifying that into small gears because it's the fastest recipe. Every other one just takes like, what, 5 seconds here? And it doesn't really matter which one we choose. All of them are equal to 1 black granite. So, all right, let's see here. Nice. Now with those gears, we're going to go ahead and macerate them. Something like that. And then that black granite dust is going to get centrifuged. Okay, so actually I filtered in basalt dust instead of the actual output, which is going to be biotite and silicon dioxide. This I'm just going to trash. And there's actually a very nice hatch that we can use for this. The void bus. It's exactly what it sounds like. You filter in the thing and it voids that. And there we go. Nice. And finally, that biotite is going to get electrolyzed. And every 44 dust will give us 4 buckets of fluorine, which after doing some math, it translates to roughly 6 buckets of lava turns into 1 bucket of fluorine. And I mean, considering that lava is going to be pretty much infinite because we're pumping so much. I mean, just to put it into perspective, I've been pumping the same oil field for hundreds and hundreds of hours, and we've still got plenty of oil to go through. Matter of fact, I checked a couple days ago, and we haven't even consumed like a quarter of the oil field. So, I mean, yeah, this lava is going to last a while. Anyways, let's turn you on, and nice. We're getting a bunch of fluorine. I'm already sending that back to the network. And then for the oxygen and item outputs, I have a little drive here. Now, I think I'll still also have to keep an eye on carbon, just because it's not really 100% passive. Like, yeah, we have a bunch of charcoal to go through, but these things only activate based on the wood tar or like wood vinegar levels. It doesn't actually care about charcoal. So I'll probably have to make these void overflow and use a couple level emitters you weren't supposed to hatch. Anyways, hopefully now our fluorine issue is gone. Hopefully we'll build a backlog in a minute, but I already did set up a chemical reactor for hydrofluoric acid. Oh, and yeah, we already have a bunch. Okay, just gonna have to add a tank for it, of course. And we should see that, yes, the chemical bath is working. And then with this filtrate dust, I think we have to sieve it, which, okay, nice. I'm already doing that. So we should have a little bit of uranium. Well, I mean, we have the 235, but not the 238. Anyways, with that now all done, I'm going to go ahead and continue the rest of the line. I left off at the monazite rare earth hydroxide concentrate dust, and the line for that is over here. I believe, yeah, it's just a bunch of random machines, so we can go ahead and quickly do that like so. We start at this EBF, which is cooking the concentrate into just the dried version, which then chemical reacts with nitric acid, and then that version comes to this mixer, and it mixes with either water or this cerium-rich mixture. With water, it's just a 1-to-1 ratio, but if you give it the mixture, then it doubles your yield. And I'm not really using this anywhere else, so it's definitely worth it. Although I don't actually remember where we get this from. Probably from rare earth, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, we have a bunch of this, so we're using it. Anyway, so now from the mixer, we go into a sifter, which is giving us cerium dioxide and then this thing. The dioxide we're going to deal with in a minute, but for the nitric monazite leached concentrate, that's the thing that goes into the vacuum freezer to give us the cooled version. And then this we send into an electromagnetic separator, which, yeah, for now we're using the single block. It's just because I was just a little bit too lazy to craft the multi when I was doing all the planning and stuff. But yeah, this is definitely a bottleneck. I'm going to upgrade this ASAP. Anyways, yeah, yeah, again, it's just item in, item out. We get two things from this. So the europium 3 oxide, we can of course use this to make europium, but the problem is you have to have some europium in the first place and keep cycling this around to make your excess. So for now, I'm just storing it here, but after fusion, we'll be able to make use of it. Anyways, the other thing we're getting here goes into another blast furnace, which is giving us another mouthful of a dust, and that we take and mix it with some samarium ore concentrate or salt. I don't really have much of either of those things, but I mean, I'll probably just go mining for more salt because I really hate mining rubracium. There's barely any of it, and the chances on the samarium ore concentrate is just not great. Even though the ore concentrate does give us a better yield, it actually triples the output. Still, I'm just gonna mine more salt. Anyways, after the mixer step, we then centrifuge this, and this recipe is exactly why I'm running this at IV tier. It's like 160 seconds at EV, so yeah, it's not great. But yeah, from this we get samaric residue dust and chloromethane. I'm just voiding this because I don't care. We can get a little bit of our chlorine back from this and hydrogen and carbon, but eh. But yeah, then we come to the residue dust, which is where we finally get our samarium after sifting it one last time. We also get a little bit of gadolinium, but I haven't seen any uses for this. At least not at our current stage. Yeah, like, okay, I guess it's used in containment casings, but we're definitely not there yet. Anyways, if we look in the super chest, we should have some samarium. Yeah, nice. 34 dust already. And I literally just set it up, so I think it's definitely going to be fast enough for our needs. But oh my goodness, okay. There is most of the monazite line done. I just have to get this last part here, which is cerium processing. But this is nothing special. It's a bunch of LCRs with a couple loops and stuff. And then an EBF and electrolyzer at the end. So actually, I mean, let's just get it done with. There you go. And all right, now we're actually done with the whole monazite line. Okay, wow. Awesome. That took a while. Also, yeah, I guess I should briefly explain this. We start with that cerium dioxide that we got earlier and combining that with ammonium chloride plus hydrogen. The ammonium chloride here gets fully looped and we're voiding the excess steam. That process happens in these chemical reactors. And as you can see, I also have a void hatch here for the steam. It's the same as the void bus that we saw earlier. Anyways, after getting our cerium chloride, we combine that with oxalic acid, which is produced over here. If you look at the recipe, it's very simple. It's nitric acid, sugar, and vanadium pentoxide. This is not consumed, and that is just vanadium plus oxygen in the EBF. Also, the nitric acid here gets fully looped via the nitric oxide. But yeah, so now at this step, we get our cerium oxalate plus hydrochloric acid. That goes all the way back here to make ammonium chloride. So that finishes the loop. And then the oxalate, we just blast furnace and electrolyze to finally get our cerium here. One of the inputs is also carbon, but we actually get an excess of that. So I have a drawer here, void upgrade, storage bus, simple stuff. Anyways, there we go. Oh my goodness. Finally, the monazite line is done. It is 3 a.m. right now. I am so tired. I think I'm just going to end it here. I don't have the energy to keep going, and I've already spent too long on this episode. But yeah, so just as a final recap, with all of those machines, we are taking crushed monazite ore and turning it into gadolinium, samarium, cerium, uranium-235 and 238, rare earth, phosphorus, hafnia, thorium, and zirconium. Oh yeah, and we're also getting a couple byproducts, but they're in the store cells. It's more zirconium, silicon dioxide, ilmenite, and rutile. Anyways, okay, well, now that we have plenty of samarium to work with, making LUV parts is going to be so much easier, which means next time we're definitely going to deal with circuit assembling by unlocking the multi-block for that somewhere here. And maybe if we have time, we'll look into the advanced SMDs and crystal processors. Yeah, I think that's going to be the game plan for next time. And if somehow we get done with all of these quickly and we still have time, then I think we're going to start dealing with the water line too. We're gonna need to start purifying our water a lot for like circuit wafers and stuff, I think, just from briefly looking at the recipes. So that should hopefully be exciting. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll come back next time to do the things that I just said what we were gonna do. But for now though, have a great rest of your day. So now we're stuck between either draconium or So now we're stuck between either draconium or wow.